right here, this is where I'm definitely going running back. The question is which running back, Javonte Williams or Najee Harris? Now, that's been one of the bigger questions because I think of the running backs coming out right now, I feel like it's a clear cut. The top three guys is Travis Etienne. Then you have Najee Harris and Javonte Williams. And the big question is, which one do you like more, Javonte or Najee? Now, for me, looking at both of these guys, Najee is the bigger guy. Javonte is slightly smaller than Najee, but obviously Javonte does give me a little bit more burst than I feel Najee has. But now, obviously, Najee played at Alabama, stacked. Cool. But then I saw Javonte go for 400 yards in a game against the U this year as well. Like, it was crazy. So this is, that toughness right here, man. What do I decide? Who do I go with right here? I'm going to go Javonte, and the reason is this. With Najee, I love the fact that he's a big, more powerful back. But Javonte, man, the amount of missed tackles that he generates, he makes guys miss at a high rate. And I'm thinking to myself, our O-line is going to be going through a transition. I'm going to be having some of these younger guys that I'm drafting playing. I might not even be able to fill all of the needs positionally up front. So I'm going to want to have a guy that's a little bit more elusive, whereas Najee, he doesn't give me that added elusive element. Now, granted, he can make guys miss, but that's not his forte. And since Travis Etienne is already off the board, I'm going to go with Javonte because I feel like I'm going to need that insurance package of, all right, if it's not the best up front, I got a guy that can make guys miss. And he also, I think he had 40 catches this year as well off the backfield. Him and Najee both showed that they could catch the ball at a higher clip. Obviously, Travis Etienne, he specializes in that, but it was good to see that Javonte did show that added element to his game. So that's why I'm going with him. And along with the fact that he was sharing the backfield. Michael Carter? Michael Carter's a good running back as well. He's right in this next tier of running backs. So to me, knowing that Javonte was very productive and didn't have a ton of carries because he had the other back in there with him, whereas Najee was the focal back. Najee was the guy who got all the touches. A little less mileage on that running back position might last a little bit longer. So, like I said, for me, that's why I'm going to go with Javonte Williams with my pick at 55.
I'm not opposed to that at all. I like both running backs. I'm a big Harris guy, though. I'm big on Harris.
I was too, man. I started looking at them tapes more and more, and I'm just like, all right, which still help us a little bit better from my perspective. But yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those guys, man.
Now, I have a question, though. I don't think Harris is going to be available at this point. How they have these rankings, unless you're thinking most scouts and most teams are having Williams above Harris, because that's what they have on this draft. They have Williams is 58 overall, Harris in the 60s.
Yes.
But do you even see Harris going in the second round? I think Williams they have late first, like early second or just second round, but I don't even know if this is possible. Like, I was thinking going into this, I would have to spend my first round pick to get Harris, but we see how this played out. Obviously, he's available for me in the second round.
I'll say this. I've done this simulator multiple times now, probably about 10 times total. And every single time, Travis Etienne goes a couple of picks, into that second round. But every single time, I've had these same running backs available to me in the second round. Yeah. So even though, obviously, us as fans, we see Najee and we got excited because of what he was able to do. But it's clear that he's not better than Travis Etienne based on, their college tapes. Now, granted, Najee had the better senior year, but Najee had the better offensive line as well, whereas Clemson's offensive line was not as good. And obviously, Travis was still able to produce at a high level. So with that understanding, I don't think that it's far-fetched that these guys could potentially be there in the second round. Based on the picks that are going, I mean, when you look at some of these guys that have went, no other running back went before then, you know what I mean, in terms of that first round. And the teams that really would need running backs, if you're thinking Buffalo, for example, right, they could potentially use an upgraded running back. They went Zaven Collins, the linebacker, and it makes sense because Matt Milano, who is their stud linebacker they paired with Tremaine Edmonds, they can't afford to pay him, so he has to hit the market. So you want to make sure you replace him with another high-end inside linebacker. So I could easily see where they would do that instead of drafting a running back. Kansas City, same case can be made for them, right? Do they need a running back? Sure, you got Clyde Edwards, but you can never have enough good running backs. For them, they went with Asante Samuel Jr., the cornerback out of Tampa. The quarterback out of Florida State.
Who did the Dolphins pick?
Let's see. The Dolphins, they went with the tackle. For mine, they went Christian Christian Darsaw, the tackle out of Virginia Tech. And
yeah, they did tackle.
They went Jamar Chase at 3. Yeah.
Yeah, they did tackle with me, their third pick. Yeah, they went receiver. They went Jalen Waddle. What'd they do second round for you?
So
they're one of the teams linked.
So they have
back.
4. Yeah, they have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So I told you they went tackle and wide receiver in the first round. Then they went Mac Jones at 36, which I could totally understand. And then they went with Liam Eichenberg. He's a tackle out of Notre Dame as well.
They went tackle receiver both rounds for me. That's interesting.
So, but to me, I'm like, if you got young quarterbacks, right, whether you're going with Tua next year or with them drafting Mac Jones and they feel like he could come in and compete, you got to protect those guys. That's the big thing, right? We said when it's young quarterbacks, the way you ease the load for them, you have great protection up front and a solid running game. So they could have went with the running back situation there, but I think based on the people that were available to them, I can see it. That's my thing, It
all depends on how these teams view running backs on a year-to-year basis, because there have been times where you have like 2 or 3 staple running backs in college.
Excuse me.
Everyone's assuming they're going to go late first round. Sometimes they just don't go, and it goes second round, even though they're the best running backs hands down in the draft. And maybe some analysts, scouts have them in their 20 to 30 range in terms of overall players. Just because of the running back position, people lay off them.
People don't value it. Absolutely. I mean, I've heard
because there are some really good, talented running backs, I think, in these mid rounds we've talked about too.
Well, and think about this. Just last year, I mean, we were all surprised that Clyde was the one that went at the end of the first round. We thought, okay, maybe it would be a JK, maybe it would be some of the other backs that were coming out at that time. But the running back position as a whole, I feel like if you're not viewed as a top 5 talent, teams aren't afraid to, wait to the second round, wait to the third round to fill that need. Not saying that it's right, but just based on the shelf life of that position, that's the biggest reason. If it's not a generational talent, if it's not a guy that can come in and just change the face of your franchise, your Saquon Barkley's, your Christian McCaffrey's, that's why I'm not surprised by them, pushing it back and Travis Etienne being the first back off the board going in the second round. I can see that to me personally, man.
So I'm in a tough spot because I took Jeremiah with the first pick. And I feel like I definitely need to address offensive line. That's been one of the things I've been talking about so much.
Yeah.
But the talented offensive line right now, isn't completely there. I see the value in Harris, in Williams. We got Creed Humphrey at center. I don't know how you feel about him. Jalen Mayfield at tackle. I think a lot of people are kind of high on him. They see him maybe as a first-round talent as well. We're going to figure out the offensive line later. We're going Harris.